Good evening and welcome to Dumb SEO Questions, episode 158. Each week we meet to answer the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google+. With us tonight we have Chase Rayner. Chase is an SEO from the USA. You can find Chase at reliablecomputerhelp.org. No, .com. Which one?
.com.
Thank you. Masataki Wasa is webmaster of whatsaweb.net. He's also a Google top contributor on the AdSense and also on the Google Plus Help community. Micah Fisher-Kirsch, you can find Masataki at whatsaweb.net, WASAWEB.net. Micah Fisher-Kirschner is Senior SEO Manager for Zendesk.com in the USA. Micah can be found at Zendesk.com. Well, probably not, can't be found there, can you? Can't be found. God lives in the Netherlands. He is an AdWords aficionado. You'll find him at marketbiz.nl. That's marketbiz.nl. Rob Mars is a Google top contributor on in the Dutch language for AdWords and also search and webmasters, I think. Here we are, Webmaster Search AdWords in Dutch, yes, thank you, I got it right. And Tim Capper. Tim is a conversion rate optimization specialist and proud to call himself an SEO. He operates in the frozen wastelands of the UK and you can find Tim at onlineownership.com. Our first question tonight is a question from Bhupender Rathore, which I think was answered perfectly by Dave Elliott, but I'll leave you guys to confirm that. I'll read the question anyway. Bhupender said, my Magento website sitemap is clean and all the URLs are working fine, but when I add it to Google Webmaster Tools, it's showing the issue URL not allowed. Please, can anybody help me how to resolve this issue?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's hard to disagree on what Dave put. I mean, it seems like that's what it was for Upendra. So, yeah, you kind of got to be careful often, sometimes with XML sitemaps. There's always little quirks with making sure your code's clean of bugs like that. So, sending to the wrong domain, sending pages to putting pages in that are broken, just general broken URLs, the XML sitemap itself redirecting somewhere else. There's a lot of kind of quirks that you know, can happen. So it's not something you want to just set and forget. As kind of the case here that was brought up, that yeah, sending to kind of a third-party domain is going to lead to that type of issue.
Okay. Anybody else, or have we covered this? All right. Next question, that's if it ever comes up, from Giselle de Leon, and between on-page SEO and off-page SEO. Giselle asked, between those two, which do you think will help a website gain online success? Both have strengths and have already proven to be effective, and we may agree that these two work together. But if you were to choose one, which do you think has the larger contribution in a website's success? Thanks in advance.
Well, if I had an option, I would go with obviously both, because, and it depends what kind of a site, and I'll give you kind of my reasonings. So, let's say we've got a site that is, has got some form of, that you can produce, kind of regular content, and I'm assuming that you've already worked on your sort of off-page building up, connections, building up followers, getting them to read it, things like this. So let's just take off the top of my head some kind of like fashion-y sort of site. You're able to produce regular content that's going to attract, that's great for your regular followers, readers, and you can work on that all the time, as well as building out. Let's say you're an accountant where, okay, maybe once a year you can update something on new tax laws or something. So pretty boring kind of stuff. Well, in that sense, your off-page is going to be a lot more important, because you don't have the opportunity really of creating too much regular fantastic stuff to attract readers on. So off-page will really seem to work. More time will be spent off-page, trying to build up your site's profile, trying to build up, look for opportunities in terms of links and things like that. So it's kind of you've got to flip it a little bit between what your opportunities are based upon your site, and different genres are going to provide you with different opportunities.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. I mean, it's basically kind of the same theme where if, let's just say, you've already got a brand, but you haven't succeeded necessarily online, but people are always talking about you, you don't maybe necessarily need to work on your off-page. You just need to start doing a lot more on-page content creation, and since you've already got that brand, you're able to go out and people are just going to be sharing it on their own. The flip side, if you're brand new, if you've already built a pretty good product, then the question is, how are you going to really grow the brand? And this is, at least where I live in Silicon Valley, this is kind of the concept of what's called growth hacking. And oftentimes it can be a mixture between, it's around off-page, but it's then sometimes how do you build something that can encourage people to on-page, to encourage people to help off-page. And so common examples in the past have been things like Dropbox, where they've, if you get people to talk about and share the service, not only do you get some free extra space, so this is your other friend, I think it was Dropbox, but the concept of how do you get others to talk about it and make that helpful for others. So sometimes there's actually, it's that mixture together which really can play that part. It really is going to be a situational, and you just need to be aware of what company you're working for or running and make that judgment based on that.
Fair enough. All right, we'll call that an answer for Zhushel, and hope that she thinks so too. All right, now we're going to switch to item number 18 on your run list, guys, because I wanted to ask Micah about this one. Just bear with me. That's it. That's working. Yes, it is. this was a tool called SEO Radar, and Micah said he wanted to highlight a tool that he loves using, and he's also advising them, and he thinks that a lot of SEOs could use it. So I'll leave it to you to tell us all about SEO Radar, Micah.
Yeah, so obviously, disclaimer is I'm helping them out. So take that as you wish. But yeah, basically, so what I like about this tool that's been built, and for those that might know Mark Monroe, he's basically been doing SEO work previously at Trilia, and he's essentially built a tool that does a change difference. For the most part, that's of value for SEOs. So whether you work in an agency or you work in-house, whenever said website makes a change to your to title tags or no index or robots.txt, the system is going to compare the two and then tell you what that difference is without you having to go and check, or if the engineers or the client doesn't tell you, you'll know already anyway. So this is a really nice system in that it's set up to basically alert you of like, hey, did you mean to make this change? Are you aware of these changes? And basically it keeps a nice cache of HTML, of screenshots, so you don't even have to go back and try to hopefully find it in the I call it in the Internet Archive or the Wayback Machine. So you know, if you're forgetting what day a change was made, you can actually just go back in the system and take a look for the pages that you are tracking. And I think that's kind of the really cool part. It's got some flexibility of like, hey, I care more about H1s, I don't care about the H2s. It's just kind of different themes that you want to be mindful of. And you know, I've used it to find out things are being changed when they shouldn't be and go back and fix it. It's great for migrations, particularly with redirects. Changes that occur, you know, a redirect should, for the most part, stay permanent, and the system will kind of make sure that's being done, and then if the content's changing dramatically, let you know too. So this is kind of one of the things that I rather like about the tool, and it's saved myself, it's saved the analysts I've worked with hours, rather than having to kind of run it manually in a lot of ways. So
cool. I can see it working for you, Tim Capper, with those developers that are the bane of your life. But in this case, you wouldn't need to worry about what they were changing, just knowing that they hadn't done anything.
Yeah, actually, because I haven't heard of them before, and I'm just reading the different things, and I'm thinking, aha, woohoo! Because, yeah, listen, I mean, some of these, yeah, I mean, sometimes from one week to the next, I'll, you know, go onto a client site and half of it's changed or gone, and I'm like, okay, what's going on here? Yeah, this would be good.
yeah,
I can see a lot of use in this.
yeah, that's kind of one of the things I wanted to bring up, because I was like, oh, this has saved me hours, saves me some issues. So that's the nice part.
Okay. Yeah. Anybody else? All right. We'll switch back to number 3. There was nothing else you wanted to say, was there, Micah?
No, no, good.
What's the pricing like?
I think it starts at, is it 25 or 50?
It starts at 50. Call it 50.
Yeah, 50. 50,
And then
130, 250.
Yeah.
That's
And then
per
obviously
month.
custom plans. So.
Yep.
Okay. All right. So we'll switch back to number 3 on your run list, guys, in SEO questions. This is one from Powan Power on 301 redirection for penalised websites. Powan said, our website has been penalised with Google algorithmic penalties. In the past, we even had manual actions, but now it isn't there. We have tried to clean out links and even redone all website content. Our rankings are still bad, and there is no sign of any improvement. We're now planning to redo the site with a new design, content, and a new domain. Is it advisable to do 301 redirection from the old domain to the new, or should we just shut down the old website? Please advise, and also let me know that the best practices for 301 redirection. Thanks, Powan Power.
Yeah, one thing that worries me is they've been penalized by a Google algorithmic penalty. So if it's about links and we're talking an algorithm here, are we talking Penguin? So if they've been penalized by Penguin, then they're going to stay down, because even if they've cleaned everything up, Penguin hasn't rerun, so they can't get out. That's something they need to, that takes predominance over anything else. Everything else you've done, you might have fixed it, but because Penguin hasn't rerun, you're likely not going to get out yet. That aside, yeah, there's a lot here that's going to be problematic still. If there's still a lot of issues on the old domain and you're going to redirect everything to the new, you're just moving it over with you. So, the hard part is, do you basically start over, which is what you're doing, or keep trying to work on the fixes? And it will really depend on kind of what kind of issues you have. Is it an actual algorithmic penalty? If so, you're going to have to wait. If not, yeah, it just depends on the time and effort. It's not the most fun, but you need to at least first try to work on a lot of the cleanup, whether you're blocking or discounting the links and telling Google, like, these links don't count, here's what we're doing, we've submitted, you submitted reconsideration requests to say we've stopped this is what we've done instead now going forward. Being very contrite about the mistakes that have been made and how that won't occur again. But yeah, if you're going to just redirect over to your new domain, you're just going to get the new domain penalized.
Yep. So the advice for Powan is not to redirect if there's a cloud over the previous one, and obviously it must be, otherwise they wouldn't be building a new domain.
Yeah, and Rob makes a good point in the comments, which in our comments here, which is basically, yeah, redirects will trend, any 301 redirect transfers over both any positive or negative factors. So if your site's been penalized, it's going to transfer the negatives as well. Just like redirecting a link in general, in a normal situation is a general positive. A whole domain issue being redirected is going to be a big penalty as well.
Can I just add my little bit on the end for the best practices for 301 redirection? Not that we're suggesting he does 301 redirection, but he's also asked, also let me know the best practices for 301 redirection. And I have a thing where I think it's always better, and the reason I think that way is because Mr. Wu, he said it. I'm just following his plan. And he advised using canonical links first until the traffic from Googlebot dries up. And only when that happens, then 301 redirect and keep the 301s in place for as long as possible. And always, you're going.
Oh, usually I think that's pretty good, but that's usually, if you have it depends on the size of the site. If you got a small site, 301's fine, but if the larger the site you have, the more likely you should do what kind of Eric's talking about there. And just because 301's, a mass amount of 301s, Google gets suddenly very, very suspicious of. Just kind of past history and abuse of it, whereas canonicals are, in theory, they're more of a suggestion, and you can quickly kind of undo stuff, and you can see as it rolls along. So that's kind of one of the reasons why there. But yeah, that is actually a better practice. If you've got a large site, use canonicals first.
I wonder if that's why so many sites which convert from HTTP to HTTPS and 301 redirect the entire site to HTTPS. So many sites I see suffer from that.
Well, there's that, but then how much do you, then there's the view of how much do you actually believe in that Google's transferring over all 100% of the link value from non-secure to secure. And that's how you view that is going to affect potentially your answer for why sites are going down.
Well, morally they should, because they're advising people to do it, and they're even hinting that they give an advantage. Of course, we all know that's crap, but morally, if they're advising people to head in that direction, surely they should at least make sure that the people who are good enough to follow their direction aren't hurt by it.
Well, you have to realize Google's looking at a very large scale, or sometimes at a select bias of data. When they say that pop-ups are bad because that harms a website, it's a bad user experience, and people come back saying, I have a lower bounce rate. Well, the data sets that people are looking at versus Google are going to be different. So it's not necessarily that they're trying to be bad about it. It's just, not to say that they aren't, but like just in general, the data set there can vary. And so as Google's looking at it as a whole, their data set may not include, or may say, well, about 95% of the sites this is helpful, but there's a possibility that your site is one of the 5% that gets harmed.
Yeah. Okay, well, Pawan, I hope that's the answer you're looking for. If not, please ask it again on the SEO Questions community. Here's a question from Ed Barnett on a Google Analytics Webmaster Tools do-it-yourself alternative. Ed said, Ed asked, how can you use your website log files to augment or replace Google Analytics or Webmaster Tools SEO information? I hear this might be more necessary in the near future as the expanded use of ad blockers like uBlock Origin increase in popularity, because they not only block ads, but also Google Analytics.
An interesting question. So you can't replace everything with server logs. The Webmaster Tool data, for example, with query information is something you can only get within the Webmaster Tools. So bear in mind that replacement for Webmaster Tools or Search Console now can't be done. You can augment for sure, and there are often, most of the time, log files are kind of an in-house built system for tracking. I'm not very familiar with kind of ones that you can buy from, but you can still cause havoc and create issues with server logs on their own. Just because one's JavaScript versus a server log doesn't mean you're going to not have as many issues. The problem sometimes with server logs is that you can create, you got to have a good bot scrubbing system, because a lot of the JavaScript systems are basically built-in packages to kind of strip out, mostly try to strip out a lot of bad data, but you don't necessarily get that with server logs. So that's something to bear in mind. But yeah, I mean, you can basically use it to pull in Googlebot data, which is great. Google provides kind of a high-level view of that data, but you can actually drill down quite dramatically. So if you want to see where Googlebot, what pages it's coming in every day by specific page types, you can do that within the tool, within the server log. You can pull out a lot of data and really drill down pretty heavily that normally Webmaster Tools is not going to provide, or a JavaScript system you have to kind of heavily customize to have. But there's a much larger upfront cost to kind of get that set up for a server log. So that's kind of one of the downsides, and it usually requires a good kind of either IT or engineering team to, or even a data team to maintain it, because that's stuff that kind of the other services and tools provide through their own kind of, whether you're paying for them or in the case of Google Analytics, indirectly paying. So those are kind of some of the things to be mindful of there.
Yep. Anybody else? Before I move on, I must draw everybody's attention to a great answer from Suraj Gadagay, who has been on our panel in the last few weeks, and I hope he comes back again. But Suraj gave a brilliant answer, which can be read on the SEO Questions community on Google+. All right, moving on to the next. And let's see what comes up. Slow tonight. Mike Cook asks about an H2 tag directly underneath an H1. He'd like to know, what does everyone think about an H2 tag directly underneath H1 with a variation of the initial H1 tag in the H2?
In an ideal world, obviously my H1 is the title as such. You've normally got a bit of an introductory paragraph, and then you, depending on your site, then you're going to have an H2, which would be, let's say, our products, and then you have, a selection or boxes or whatever of different services or products you offer. But if you've got an H1, let's say you've used it as your title, and then you wanted, purely from a stylistic point of view, you use an H2 to create like a little bit of marketing fluff about welcome to Never Never Neverland, pink fluffy dinosaurs, as kind of like a little, your sort of, your little company line or branded motto that you have, whatever you want to call it. That's not going to cause a problem, as such. But in an ideal world, your H1 would be, in your top line, you'd have an introduction to your business, what you do, where you are based, what people are going to find on the page, and then your H2 would, would then be used to separate out the new section, whether it be products or our services, or our services in an area, and then list your particular kind of services, or whatever the case may be. That would be the ideal structure. But if you just from a stylistic point of view have used an H2 underneath the H1, it's not, you're not going to be penalized, you're not going to be slapped because of it. It's not really, it's not going to make a difference between one position 1 and position 2.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else? I think that answer, and also the answers on the SEO Questions community were good, and for that I thank Suraj, Jushel, and Blades. Question from Marty Eigner on stopping comment spam. He said, I'm getting a lot of comment spam from proxyus.com. The C blocks are continually changing, so it is difficult to block in HT access. Does anyone know how to stop this without using a reCAPTCHA?
Do they have Askomet? That would be the first question. Because Askomet does a pretty good job, at least on the WordPress platform, usually of stopping comment spam for the most part. The other way is kind of a, you can always moderate, at least on the first one. So if you basically say on first comment ever from this IP, it's going to be moderated. You choose if you want to allow it, and then after that, you basically don't have to worry about reviewing it. That's good for repeated spams from the same IP potentially, but otherwise, if you're not looking to do a lot of the moderation and for spam like this, and there's just too much, then yeah, look at kind of plugins like Askomet and see if that will help.
Anybody else? All right, let's move on to the next. So another question from Pawan Pawa. He said, can anyone help me to identify what kind of Google algorithmic penalties we have? I can share the link, which I know what it was, alpha.net, with a double A to start. He said, please help, thanks in advance. Well, it was more or less agreed that Pawan had a couple of issues. He had every page on the site with a canonical link back to the home page, and I think that in itself would damage the site. And anyway, he's removed that, and maybe that might cause him to reban. What do you guys think? Not much, apparently. All right. Let's move on to the next. Question from Andres Philippe Echevarria Haneo. He said, hello, can somebody help me with this? What should I do with these search queries that are indexed? But when I click on them, there is not anything showing. Thanks. I couldn't understand the question myself. Did anybody else figure that one out?
With the junked index, I mean, basically he just needs to make sure they don't go into Google's search results. It turns, I guess there's some type of form, and so when he clicks through, it's just nothing's there. That's kind of how I read it. So the question that he needs to figure out, or the kind of the answer for him is, he needs to realize that you need to kind of block these, and more or less have a no index. So going forward, he needs to make sure that these pages are no indexed and that in the robots.txt file, these pages are not crawled. He can probably set those now because it looks like his URL path for these can be then kicked out and removed from the search results basically as a directory inside of Webmaster Tools. And so since he can do that, Google will temporarily knock him out, and then with the new robots.txt and no index tags, that should keep them out from there on after. If, however, for whatever reason those are an issue, then you need to make sure you make these pages no index first, then you got to wait for them to all fall out, and then you throw in a robots.txt file to say don't crawl these anymore. So that's for the most part the way to kind of make sure these stop growing in size and start to be removed completely.
Thank you, Micah. And I did like Suraj Gadagay's summation and solution on this answer, which can be seen on the SEO Questions community on Google+. Gayatri Muthusamy, and I don't know if any of you guys have taken any of these tests, but anyway, Gayatri asked, how many of you have taken the freelancer SEO level test? Is it easy or not? Do you think it will weigh your SEO level or strength?
Yeah, I've never even heard of it before.
We should do it as a challenge.
Where's the link? I'm looking for the link. I didn't see it.
Yeah, I was actually going to take this.
Go ahead, Chase, sorry.
No, I was just going to add, I was going to take this last night, but I didn't get around to it.
Oh, yeah, if it's easy, you could do it pretty fast, but where's this link? Here it is.
Actually, I think it's a great thing that these sites, the freelancer sites like that and Odesk and so on are doing it, to raise the standard of because there is a lot of misinformation that gets about sometimes, and people just decide that it's gospel. I'm sure you'd agree.
Yeah, the problem though is, of course, whether or not you agree with what the answers are. Who's to say that the test or answer is a good approximation of your SEO?
Well, I mean, I'm sure that they've never heard of pink fluffy elephants. Okay, let's move on to the next. Jenny Lowe asked asked a question about her site, obsidiancontent.co.uk. Jenny said, "Hello there. My website traffic saw a massive drop-off on the 14th of August 2015, from which it has not recovered. I didn't make any changes around this time other than a few cosmetic things around the 18th of August. The structure of the website has always remained the same since it was built in March this year. Could I have been hit by a Google update around this time, or worse, some kind of penalty? I attach a picture of my analytics graph for your reference. My website is www.obsidiancontent.co.uk. Many thanks, Jen." Micah's leaving us. Safe journey, Micah.
Thank you.
Do you still use the same freeway?
No, I'm taking in a train over to work now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's nice. So, enjoy the rest. Take care.
Okay. For some reason or other, the analytics graph picture didn't come through. I'll have a quick look at this. No description meta tag. 130 characters in the title. That might be the cosmetic change that she made. Really should cut the title in half, Jenny, if you happen to be watching this.
It looks like the content's probably under 300 words too, which is usually not good.
I'm looking at only 6 pages indexed. So in terms of I don't know.
Actually, the page title is you'd probably say it was spammy. It finishes up with web content writer, Wolverhampton, Birmingham, West Midlands, Staffordshire. You put UK on the end just in case you didn't know that Staffordshire's in the UK. I'd cut it in half and drop those.
Oh yeah, I mean that should just be Obsidian content creation. You can either use the pipe or a hyphen then, and say freelance copywriter. And I'm assuming you're in Staffordshire, so Staffordshire, and leave it at that. Then your address, your full address, the name of the business, the full address should be in your footer, and you can schema mark that up as a local business. I mean, we've got 6 pages here. When you say your analytics dropped, I mean, look, in all seriousness, we've got a 6-page site here. What did it drop from? 20 visits a day or something to like 2? I mean, I'm not being mean or anything, but I don't see.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, I'm not. You. I'm just seeing that. I mean, I don't see how this site would be.
Yeah, another thing is the blog. You uploaded the blog with PDFs. I feel like if you want to rank for any of those keywords that are in your blogs, you should probably actually put those on your website.
Where did you find a blog link? I can't find it.
Oh, it's right here.
Oh, right, yeah, I see the little link at the bottom there, yeah. Yeah, that should be hosted on your site. So, yeah, you certainly need to create your blog, put it onto your site, and then, as Chase said, just migrate all of this across. Um, and then, of course, put redirects in from old content to old URLs to your new your new blog on site. Yeah, you really want to host it on. Yeah, you've got loads of content here. These are like, yeah, this should be on your site.
Also, in the H tags, there's HTML code in the H tags. That's going to confuse Googlebot. Googlebot can swallow just about anything, but it gets confused easily.
Yeah, there's no H1, no meta description, no H2, no schema,
H5s.
no H5s, no alt text. So yeah, there needs to be some things done on this. Especially, I think what Tim was saying is definitely get those blogs on your website. That's really it's gonna help if you can rank for a couple of those.
Tell me something. I'll just put this in the chat. Have a look at it. What's that all about? That's in the source code. Is that encoded? Is that an encoded URL? Is it?
I wonder if that's some sort of HTML injection or something.
I can't even see that. Yeah, it's something wrong with it anyway. It's a technical. If you PM Tim Capper, I'm sure he'll tell you all about that. All right. So have we covered it, or can we do better?
Well, I would certainly say your content. I would look at restructuring. I would look at really tidying up a lot of your stuff.
Perhaps run the code through a validator, and that would highlight where the code is wrong. That would pick up those things like the HTML code inside the H tag.
Also, my other little idea, my other thought here is, I mean, I don't know when this was initially, and unless going back into way back when, my other thought here is, it seems that her blog was her main site prior to creating this one. How new is the new one? Because you might have had a honeymoon period, and now everything's settled down, and it's tanked. Which generally a new site just launched has a month or two honeymoon period where it sees, you know, some decent positions, and then as all the databases around the world process all the information, and then it all settles down, then it settles to where it naturally should be positioned, and invariably traffic, you know, does sync. So that could be another reason, but definitely want to get your old content onto your new site. You want to redirect everything from there. Yeah, you definitely want to rerun. You definitely want to, you know, run all your pages and double check them.
About 6 months old, the site, Tim, apparently. She declared March.
Yeah,
March,
I'm thinking honeymoon period then. For example, on one of your pages, obsidiancontent.co.uk/services, I just removed the .html out of the URL, and it hit me with a 404. You want to look at that also. You've also got, you also haven't set your preferred domain. So you're running the site on www.obsidiancontent.co.uk as well as on non-www. Yeah, you need to decide what domain you want to serve it on, and then in your htaccess do the redirects. I mean, if this is in WordPress, it should be doing it naturally for you. Is it in WordPress?
no.
No, it's not. So in your htaccess file, you need to get that sorted because you're running two versions. Google generally doesn't, you know, at some point it'll say, right, you know, and if it was running like this for 6 months, Google might have got to the point and said, okay, we've 6 months now, which version of the site are we going to display? And they may have just thought, wow, sod it, you know. So you need to sort out your preferred domain and sort that and set those in your htaccess. What else? We're going to okay, this portfolio page. What have you? Get rid of this portfolio page, man. This is. I don't like this. If you're gonna have, you know, these you know, these things, don't put them in PDFs, things like that. Create a section for each that you've got, and then put it on page. You know, you can then put it on page, but at least create something that's, you know, readable, that you know, you can create a for example, Knightsbridge case study, or a Knightsbridge section within your portfolio. People can click through, they can see it clearly. That this is certainly not going to do any favors on. So you've got a trend autumn watch PDF, you know, put that in two versions, you know, either put it on site as in under a case study for your trend autumn watch, and then, you know, provide the PDF if, you know, people want to download the PDF, but get that on site because, you know, obviously a trend autumn watch, explain who the client was, what was the brief, you know, present it as a case study on page, not hidden away in this, just whatever this thing is, some app thing.
And what's the purpose of in the portfolio the get training, which then goes off to a site called boxuniversity.litmos.com?
Yeah, but I mean these aren't visible, so I just some of this create case studies out of them all. But seriously, your other blog onto this, or get your other blog properly skimmed up and switch this one over. Just think about. We've only got 6 pages essentially in your obsidiancontent.co.uk. Let's just see what we got in the other one quickly. Essentially, it might be easier to skin up the WordPress properly as Obsidian content, and then maybe just transfer the 6 pages across. And that might be an easier option. What we're looking at here. Oh, come on. I'm going slow.
Okay, yeah. It seems to me that Jenny's more of a writer than a web builder, and maybe WordPress would be a better option.
Yeah, well, her other one is already in, but there's other things here, Jenny, that even in your blog itself, you've got all your tags enabled. Multiple categories. Yeah, I would. You really need to. It's a question of get it all onto one site and properly optimize it. This is in a little bit of a state. There's a lot of things wrong, like everywhere, really.
You realise
Yeah.
Jenny's just about to jump out a window right now.
No, don't jump, Jenny. I'm just like, I think you've kind of read things or seen things that have it's just kind of maybe coming out in all the wrong places. I'm just looking at a tag here where you've got Obsidian content hashtag, not even the actual hashtag, but a hashtag in comma, Instagram tag, instagramkusu.com. I mean, I think you're trying to do, I think, somewhere along the line you've read things and it's all kind of just mishing a bit, and we need to step back. First priority is decide, what you're going to do. You need to merge the two, and I'm assuming it wants to go onto Obsidian. Get that onto there, redirect all properly, sort out your preferred domain. I mean, that is going to be a killer in itself. Okay, get your htaccess file on that sorted. It might be easier, Jenny, to actually just get a local developer, WordPress, get him to get it done. Just to skin it all together, transfer the two, make sure it's all properly merged. And then once you start looking at things, you've got to sort out these tags. That's going to be killing your other site in itself. And there's just a lot of things, which have probably just become a bit confused along the way.
All right. We move on to the next. I hope Jen, that's a good start, and feel free to keep punishing us with questions. We'd love to see you make something of this site. All right, moving on to the next. It is from Manish Dwavidi, and right away you've got to say that Manish knows what's going on around here. Manish said, "Hi Jim Munro, very good morning. I have a website and want to rank it in google.co.uk. The website name is ukincorporation.co.uk. And in Google Webmasters, there are 4 duplicate short meta descriptions, and there are no crawling errors. Website is mobile friendly. Also, there is no duplicate content. The website is also HTTPS, but pending HTTPS in the blog section. Why is my website not performing well in all pages of keyword in google.co.uk? Kindly assist me. Looks like it's a week for site reviews. I think we've got 3 in the question list this week.
Okay, so, and obviously we're just going to be throwing things at you, Manish, as we come across them. Okay, first thing I see here is, what is your front page about? So I see the big blue thing, and what is that in? Let's inspect it. GR Morgan formations, offshore company registrations. Okay, so that's an A one. So offshore company registration, company formation agent, and business startup specialist. My gosh. Okay. Firstly, I would restructure this, right? Your first one's going to be welcome to GP formations, GR Morgan formations. Then you've got your little bit of introduction, right? Your H2, we specialize in the following services. No. Right, so we've got welcome to GR Morgan formations. You've got your information, your paragraph, great stuff. Oh, and please get rid of these bloody chat boxes. I hate these things. Oh, and they're just a waste of time, mate. Unless you're sitting on your phone all day long, that just forget it. Get rid of it. It's all, people hate them. I hate them. Okay. Next one. So then we're going to split this up. So we've got offshore company and business startup. That's what you're saying in your initial H1, but you want to change that. You've got your, now you're going to provide sections. So you can have, we specialize in the following services, but then I would create obviously something there that these are what we specialize in, and segment them out in an H1, offshore company registration, then company formation, and then business startup specialists. Because then you go down further on down here going, this is what we create, UK private limited, UK limited liability, blah, 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 blah. I would really restructure this properly so that you can see specifically what services they provide. Each of those services, I can't see, for example, in your H1 now you're saying offshore company registration. Where the hell is your offshore company registration page? I can't see that. So if you're trying to, for example, if that's in your H1, I'm assuming you want to rank for offshore company registrations. Yeah? Well, I haven't got a page for that. I've got UK incorporated, offshore incorporated. So to me, firstly, your structure on how you're presenting this is off from what I'm assuming you want to try and rank for. It's because if offshore company registrations is in your H1, I'm assuming that's what you're trying to go for. So now I'm going to click through to, so putting that aside, I'm clicking through to UK corporation. Okay. Now let's look at this page. Introduction to UK Corporation. Right. What is this box here? This needs to be restructured again. I don't know what this box here does. UK agency company. So you say there's 7 main types of company. Right. Well, I would put this box down and I would put that into a proper kind of little box. So these are the 7 types of, and I would have proper things. This doesn't look great. I'm confused. I click UK agency company. I see HTTPS is not on this page. Well, it is, but it's broken. That page is taking too ever to load up. I can't even leave that now. Leave it. Get out. Yeah. Okay. So invariably, I think it's your site structure that is just a mishmash everywhere. Okay, so on the UK Incorporation page, another thing, your title is UK Incorporation, and then pipe ukincorporation.co.uk. No, is your business, your brand, not GMR? Unless I go back to the actual main thing, it's called GR Morgan Formations. Okay, that is how you want to run it across. You know, chucking in the little domain there is. It means nothing. You're not creating a brand at all. You know, you're not doing anything there.
It is really weird. I'm looking through the data. If you go to the company's house website and throw in the number that's quoted on the website, you find that the registered name is Global Business Incorp Limited. And there are 35 businesses registered at this address, and you know there isn't a consistency, is there, in terms of what's the registered name? There's no mention about what it trades as, either. So you know there are, I think, issues with how the actual business exists and the website, if that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, even the you know, you've got follow us on, you've got the Google Plus thing, that should be your business page, right? So I click through to that, expecting to see a GR Morgan Formation business page registered at Office 14, 10 to 12 Bach Street, London, and I get Vishal Raman. Come on, dude. I mean, this is like, what are you presenting here? It's just, you know, you really, you know, you need to sit down, you need to look at your pages, create a proper structure for it. You've got a lot of content. You just need to restructure it, and you need to stick with a name, a brand that you know, that is concise, consistent, and you know, really stick to it.
Yeah, the copy of the text really needs some tightening up as well. You know, spelling mistakes, spaces before commas, things like that. I mean, those. I mean, we're talking about a serious legal thing in a sense that, you know, you're trying to register a company. You have to present it in a way that inspires confidence. And properly vetted copies, I think, will be a good start as well.
Mm.
Yeah, okay. GR Morgan Formations is the trading name of Global Business Incorporated. Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I missed that. Sorry about that. But, I mean, then why are you calling it GR Morgan Formations?
So we've just been joined by Edwin Jonk. Edwin is CEO of IDEST Host in the Netherlands. You can find Edwin at idesthost.nl. Hi, Edwin.
Okay. Yeah, you're right, Edwin. Okay, so I'm looking around. I've just gone in the offshore page. I've clicked on Gibraltar, and now all of a sudden your title is just Gibraltar. You know, the actual title of the page. And same again, you know, I've got a picture of a flag, local currency, buy now, renew button. I mean, you're not really presenting a kind of structured way, and it doesn't look very professional. I mean, I don't mean to be mean. It's just I wouldn't come to the site based on this Gibraltar page and whack in buy now for £675 based upon this page. There is just no way.
Yeah, I agree. I think it, you know, it doesn't exactly inspire confidence. I mean, we're talking about serious money and serious purpose.
Okay, you see now we've gone wackadoo again. So I'm on the page /UK-holding. Now your title reads to me UK holding company, holding companies, and now we've got the proper name, GR Morgan Formations. Whereas those other pages had .co.uk, you know, you had, yeah, really need to correct that. You need to think about the structure of these, because even though I've got a UK holding, I'm still not going to click for 75 quid on this because I just don't feel comfortable in it.
And there's a site-wide Twitter link.
Yeah.
Security Infotech, I think it's called.
I would certainly get rid of that design and develop by.
Yeah, that's the one.
You know, if you are presenting yourself to be a UK business, right? Because you've got, you know, you're saying you're a registered company in England and Wales, you're giving a London address, and now we've got designed and developed by Sukarit Infotech, which I click through. It's based in India, mate. You just you know, and for the kind of money you want, people are you're presenting something which doesn't quite gel. You know, this is a UK company. It's meant to be, you know, you're presenting something which is meant to be secure, safe, presented properly. Yeah, I would, you know, I would literally go back and create for all your internal pages. I would certainly create, you know, a nice, properly, yeah, you know, a nice way to structure these pages that look professional. At the minute, I don't see this. Those testimonials also flying up and down on the left. If you insist on having them, can you move them down a bit? They do my head in. Okay, I'm having a problem with your menu. I'm obviously on UK Incorporation now. I go down to the next because I want to get to limited liability. It's closed up twice. So think about redoing that menu somehow. Yeah, I just, you've got information, but it just needs to really be structured properly, please.
I was just looking at the robot text file, and I'd change that. You start off with disallow nothing, user agent asterisk disallow nothing, which means is basically allow all robots, and then you specifically go down and disallow various bots. But it really is a waste of time, because those people that will just ignore your robots text. All you'll do is block out the good robots. Now, you're also blocking the MSIE crawler. Well, that's a crawler which improves the user experience by prefetching content from your site, and that will give that user of Microsoft Office a better experience when it'll make your site seem faster. So not much sense. No, really, the best robots text just says, I'm open, here I am, and it's it's just wrong. And at the bottom, you've got your sitemap incorrectly listed. It doesn't get the right syntax for that. That's wrong. And you've got user agent asterisk allow everything from the root. Well, that's a given because you've already said disallow nothing. So you look, I'd get rid of your 425 line robots text and just allow everything. You're not going to stop the bad guys. The robots text is not going to stop the bad guys. It's just going to muck up the good guys that are actually useful to you. And you just got to tolerate people crawling your site.
Oh yeah, and who's this tropicabi.com on your thing? Please get rid of that off there. You are, no, get rid of it. You've got a link there to this weird tropical whatever it is. Get rid of that. That newsletter, I click on that, takes me to a news page. I know you're still incorporating the blog, but then obviously I click on this newsletter, which doesn't open properly. Yeah, I think you really need to go back, sit down, and be honest with yourself about the site, and work your way through it.
Yeah. Okay, anybody else? All right, let's move on to the next Manish. I hope you found that useful. May not have been a comfortable experience, but I hope you found it useful. And Tim Capper said in the chat, great, thanks Jim, making me look the bad guy. Well, look, I can't help that. I can't help that, Tim. Anyway, all right. Niraj Kumar, who's asked a lot of questions of us, wants to know a question about keyword-based SEO for a smaller website. What are the best tactics to do SEO for a small website whose pages have very little text and a lot of rich media? How to really maintain keyword relevance on such pages? See, Dave Elliott, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say you can do what Moz does. What they do is they whenever they make a video or they put a picture, but mainly videos, they do a video breakdown and they basically just take whatever's in the video and they write out the text, so you can still rank for the keywords that are in the video. I think it's a pretty good idea.
Yep. Anybody else?
Just make sure that you're including your wow, the words left me. Meta tags inside of your alt tags inside of your pictures on your website.
Yeah, I see Dave Elliott in the chat said lots of rich media means lots of link building, amplification, social, and if the rich media includes video, then add transcripts to the site. If it is images, can any text be taken out of the image and be placed via HTML, CSS to make it more readable by crawlers? All right, let's move on to the next. Tim Capper's gone on strike. A question from Arithmol TP, who asks, what is keyword relevance? Thanks in advance. Sorry, Tim, missed this one. It's a question from Arithmol TP asking, what is keyword relevance? And I'll just read out Dave Elliott. I thought it was a good one. Actually, Giselle de Leon also gave a good answer, but I'll read out Dave's anyway. He said it's simply a score to determine how closely matched a keyword or group of keywords is to the content of your page. Basically, if your page is about apples and you're trying to rank for it, wait for it, pink fluffy elephants, then your page will have a low keyword relevance. But if your page is about grass and you're trying to rank for the term lawn, you will have a high keyword relevance.
Yeah, I actually have a pretty good example of this. There's a site called I forget what it's called, but they basically rank for United States SEO, and their blog talks about the United States, and in one of the blogs it's talking about how Facebook works, but it compares it to like an election with Obama. So it's pretty funny because you can see that they're basically trying to do this, but they turn their site into like a, I don't know how to explain it.
You type so fast, Chase.
I live on the computer.
Tim and I, we type with 2 fingers.
So yeah, same. I can't not. That's how I learned.
Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on from this one. Did I tweet that out? Not sure. No, I didn't. Okay. Right, moving on to the next, to Arithmol TP. Duchel de Leon gave a great answer there too. Stefan Mustiels asked, he said, I think a site I'm working on may have an algorithmic penalty. Anyone care to take a look? Now, his site is, I put it in the answers right down below. His site is www.makeitcheaper.com.
So, what's the site?
www.makeitcheaper.com.
Make it cheaper.
It's a price comparison site.
Oh. So, first question is, why does he think this? Oh, okay, so link penalty way back. Okay, first thing is, first thing, Stefan, is it obviously had a penalty way back, but that's gone. So I'm assuming you did a reconsideration, or it was algorithmic and you disavowed shed loads. So the first thing is you've also now need to rebuild all those crappy things that were initially helping you, but then penalized you. You know, those are all now gone, or if they're in a disavow, they're all now no follows. So your site is going to decrease because you have lost some of that link equity that was initially helping you, but obviously has been removed. So you need to work on those. The other thing is it's the trust factor. Once you have any form of penalty, there's like a little tick next to the box, and you need to then obviously you need to build up that trust again. It may take a year, it may take 2 years to regain that trust.
Did Google make an announcement? I'm getting feedback somewhere. But did they make an example of people tricking them with the rich snippets and getting the 5 stars on every page?
No, not making an example. I just remove them.
Okay. What, they removed the pages from the SERPs?
No, they just don't show the snippets.
Oh, okay. How can you tell if they're not showing the snippet? I mean, if you do a site query operator.
No, site query will show you. You'll just have to find it organically.
still haven't got it right in my head. So if like with this particular site, he's got a Trustpilot review, rich snippet, which gives him a score of 4.8, 5 stars on his page, and he's applied that Trustpilot rich snippet to every page on his site. So if you do a site query for the site, you'll see that Google has listed hundreds of pages with 5 stars. Do those pages still show up in search results with or without the 5 stars? Is that
the page will still show up in search results, but if they have applied the rich snippets and said, okay, no, this should only be across the front page, then the little stars just won't appear in the search results for that particular page. So right, let's go to no, they seem fine. I mean, they seem to be showing across. So, yeah. Ultimately, it shouldn't be across all pages, but anyway, it doesn't matter. There's not going to be a penalty. They just remove them if they don't feel that it applies to that page.
Okay.
Another thing you can do, Stefan, is so obviously you need to replace those crappy links with decent links. You need to rebuild trust, which is going to take time. The other thing is you can go to the Penguin tool, Panguin tool. It's by Raven Tools. You open your analytics, and what it does is it creates a little overlay of any known algorithms that have run. I don't know if they just do it for a year or 2 years or whatever, but it gives you a particular graph on what particular specific algo ran on a specific date, and that may help you narrow things down to look in specific areas.
All right. We move on from this one. Stefan, I'm sorry we couldn't give you more on this one. All right. We've done it again, guys. We've answered all of the questions asked on the SEO Questions community on Google+. Tim Capper has to leave us. He's off on his way to the airport, no doubt parachuting into somewhere else. Thank you, Tim. All right. So now we're on to the news. This one, I really wonder whether Google is going too far with this. Apparently now I'll be able to upload email lists to target my clients for search, Gmail and YouTube ad targeting. I think that's perhaps tending to be, into the. I mean, I wouldn't do it. I'm just wondering what you guys think about it. I think it's just a little bit creepy, and our clients might come to resent being so closely followed. Especially those
Well, I think for the advertiser, it's great, right? If you have an e-commerce site with a lot of email addresses, you can target them. Isn't that great?
Well, I mean, am I the only one that feels this way? Like when I'm, say for argument's sake, for a client, I look at, say, a new gas oven or something like that, and so then for the next week or two, all I seem to see are ads for gas ovens. I'm not in the market for a gas oven. I've simply looked at one for a client, and now I'm going to get punished by appliances for the rest of my life. It's annoying, I think. I mean, is that just because we know how it works?
But Google already has your cookies and everything, so they know your search history. So that doesn't change. The only thing is that the advertiser can now put their data in the campaign, right? In this case, email addresses. Or did I misread that?
Well, maybe I misread it, but I sort of thought it is jumping the bridge from anonymous tracking to non-anonymous tracking.
Yeah, for the advertiser, that's true. Yeah.
Well, I guess it's going to put a lot of emphasis on people starting to get newsletter signups on their site. And it's gonna make it so that blogging is going to be a lot more popular because you're going to try to get more people, right? Because if you can get emails, it seems like you can market really well to these people. Right or no?
Well, the thing is, if you have their email, why not just simply email them?
That's true.
Which most clients do.
Well, that goes to the spam box, or on the inbox it's called promotion, I think, and there are probably other ways to organize emails. So the reach of email has gone down, I think, or not?
Wait a minute. So obviously there are quite high threshold as to whom you can send emails, right?
Sorry, Mr. Taki, I missed that.
Sending emails, requires quite a lot of high threshold. You have to have proper consent from the user to be emailed. Otherwise,
they have to be double opt-in.
Yeah.
Yeah, my guess is it will be similar for this, right? So because the advertiser is now using your email address at a third party, in this case Google, so they need to have permission.
Yeah, the question is whether, you probably need two types of permission. One for allowing Google to target you based on email by identifying you through that email address that you logged in, and then you probably have to have, you as a user will have to give consent to the people collecting the email so that they can use it for third parties purposes. So there should be the two opt-ins on both sides.
And yet Google is going to get these email lists that they're going to be uploaded, by advertisers, and so that they will, if they didn't have the user's email already, they will now.
Could you run that through again?
What I'm saying is that Google was tracking on basically anonymous data before. Now, when somebody makes a purchase as a result of clicking up on an ad with an uploaded email list, Google now has their actual email address for that purchase, which is data they wouldn't normally have. So now we're giving up our clients' email address for Google to collate.
But is an email address that private?
Pardon?
An email address isn't that private, right? Or
well,
and anybody can send an email to you, right? So
yeah, but the email address really defines a person, doesn't it? I mean, we rarely change our email address, so it's not a matter of Google, just saying, oh, this is a buyer who's in the 60 to 64 demographic, Australian, good looking, but Google wouldn't know my email address. They just know my general demographic. Now they actually know who I am.
Well, what is more private, your search history or your email address? Just your email address, right? I think it is your search history. That's more private, and that's used. So why?
Depends what you're searching.
Yeah. Well, you can tell a lot.
Yeah. No. Email is a piece of personally identifiable information. So, in that sense, the threshold for acquiring that data should be high. But if you're logged into your Google account and search, then they already know the login credentials, which is an email address, right?
By the way, I've had a new pacemaker fitted. If my heart stops, it automatically deletes my browser history.
So, in that sense, there's already a link between, Google already knows your login email credentials, right? And if you search while you're signed into your account, then it has a search history that is linked to the Google account, which is linked to the email login.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, that's I do that with prior knowledge. What about our clients who may not do that, who may not be participating in any Google products and may have a reason for doing so? They want to remain anonymous, but we're delivering up their email address because we are uploading the email address, and then the customer makes a purchase, and Google's database does a match, and bingo, that's that person, which a detail they may not have had before.
Yeah. So. yeah, so they're going to, so Google is going to match the list that you upload, and then you're targeting those people. And if they find a match between the email credentials between your list and the logged-in data, then they can do, then they have more information about that user. It tells about whom you're targeting as much as is the target, him or herself.
Maybe I'm overthinking it.
Getting a proper consent for that, I think, is pretty tough. I mean, you have to have it properly formulated, because, I mean, it's going to scare people away. Many people's initial reaction would be, "Oh, I don't want that."
Well, the thing is that yes, when when somebody opts into an email list, we send them out to that. We send out an email to that email box with a unique code for them to click to confirm that that they actually did want it. And that's called double opt-in. And that's that. I mean, we have to do that to get those people on the email list. But Google will get their email for nothing, and there'll be no double opt-in. The customer doesn't even know that their email address has been passed over.
Yeah, but though in the agreement, there would be a statement to the effect that you consent to your email being passed on to third parties. Right? And when they agree to an email list, there would be a statement to the fact that interested third parties may be able to send you emails as well, or something like that. That the details are passed on to a third party.
On AdWords, on your Google settings, you can opt out for the new email list.
The default is on, is it?
Yeah, probably. I'm looking at it now.
Maybe I'm concerned over nothing. I don't know. Who knows? We move on from this one?
Yeah.
Will ad blocking software destroy mobile advertising? Well, obviously, if everybody takes it up, and certainly Apple is pushing it very hard, and they have a significant user base.
Well, this article basically talks about AdBlock Plus, which was removed from the Android Play Store, and then they open sourced it and came back. It is an interesting read. But yeah, if a lot of people download ad blockers, then there will be a problem, of course. Yes, because the people that don't have ad blockers pretty much support the people with ad blockers, right? Or the ad blockers are free riding on the non-ad blockers.
I see one of the major ad blocking companies today announced that they're going to study and decide which ads are worthy of being shown, which is a bit.
Well, that is their business model, right? So they say if the ad doesn't shouldn't be annoying or having flash or that stuff, and then they go to Google or other companies and say, well, if you pay us this amount, we will show the non-irritating ads. So that's basically their business model. That's how they earn money.
Yeah, because there has to be some sort of way to make money, and that's either by collecting user data, or essentially getting protection money from the advertising companies.
Shall we move to the next article, Jim?
Yes, I'm sorry. I was just reading one of AJ Cohn's missives. Okay, here's another one originally shared by Dave Elliott on the. It said, "Cool new Google Knowledge Graph feature, basically traffic queue information for businesses." Whatever that means, tell me about it.
Well, basically, you can see how long, on average, you have to wait on a certain period in the day. But how do they collect that data?
Would it be people leaving the store? Did they calculate how long it takes to have a cup of coffee, and when their GPS shows that they've left the premises, maybe?
Yeah. The case. If you look at the article, this quote, despite a lack of full clarity, Google have referred to a blog post from 2009 which describes how the company is pulling traffic data from people's tracking location systems on Google Maps. We can assume that a similar technology is currently used to monitor businesses' popular times. Whenever a person's location is enabled on Google Maps, their phone is automatically sending streams of data to Google and recording any movements. Hence, the only data processed by the company is from users that have enabled a location. By combining all users' locations throughout the day, the tech giant is then able to determine the popularity of certain businesses and outline their busiest times. Google Maps is free and currently the most downloaded app in the world, so it is not hard to imagine the amount of data available. As people are becoming increasingly concerned about online privacy, Google have explained how only anonymous location information is being used. Opt-out instructions have also been shared in case these users don't want their location information to be recorded. End of quote. So that's how they do it.
Yeah.
So turn your GPS off if you don't like this.
Yeah, it's yeah, and disable your location sharing.
All right. I think we've reached that time, guys. If I click this, yep, there's that tool. And it's thank you for watching. Well, if oh no, we had one left a second ago, but now we have 0 viewers, which is sad because I can't say goodbye to you. Anyway, we'll be back at the same time next week to do it all again.